Hi everyone, so we're going to start today with a new phylum. So it's phylum Chordata vertebrata. So this is actually going to be the last one we're talking about. It encompasses the rest of the animals that we'll be looking at here. So the defining characteristics of this phylum as a whole is that we have a spinal cord that is protected by vertebrae, and there is a head with a brain in there. So again, vertebrata, so we're looking at an internal vertebrae. So this is endoskeleton here, unlike our exoskeleton that we saw before. And again, this is going to encompass all animals with backbones. Okay, so let's take a look at some different animals that we're going to be observing. First thing we're going to do here is take a look at some of the different types of marine fish. We are actually going to be on fish for a little while because there are so many fish in the ocean. So some classifications for fish specifically. So all fish, no matter what category, what class they fall into, are going to have all of these different characteristics. So that's going to be a flexible backbone to be able to move and twist their body. They are cold-blooded, which means they cannot maintain their body temperature, so it changes with the water around them. They have fins that are going to control their movements within the water. And then they have gills. Gills is probably the biggest definer here. So instead of lungs, they're taking oxygen from the water to breathe and make energy. So lungs, we take oxygen from the air, but all fish here are going to have gills, which help them take that oxygen from the water instead. So the first class that we're going to see here is Agtha. This is going to be jawless fish. So our class Agtha has our defining characteristics of jawless fish. So if we take a look at some examples here, it's going to be the hagfish and the lamprey. So here we can see this larger fish here is going to have a jaw. So this is not the animal we're talking about. The animal we're talking about is right here that's hanging off the fish. And honestly, I think these types of fish are pretty terrifying, and we're going to see why in just a second. So in the family of minks, we see the hagfish, again, our jawless marine fish. Poorly developed skull and cranium, which is kind of why they look like eels. They produce slime when they are stressed, and they feed on invertebrates, so animals without backbones. And they will also scavenge on dead and dying fish. So here's the truly terrifying part here. It contains 4 rows of teeth used to bore into the fish. So this type of fish do only feed on invertebrates and scavenge on dead animals, but again, they have that circular mouth with those 4 rows of teeth that are used to eat and get into that fish. We did see an example of this when we were taking a look at our deep ocean. So here we can see our deep ocean. These are a ton of different hagfish that live here, eating up a dead animal at the bottom of the ocean. But again, we can see those 4 rows of teeth and that circular mouth that is going to be used to bore into their prey. The next one here is going to be our lampreys, and this family name is quite extensive, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce it for you. But again, this is going to be that lamprey example. And this is actually going to be considered a parasitic marine fish. Again, with no jaw, a jawless animal, which is why it falls into the Agtha class. It attaches to its host by suction and has an oral disc and tongue that is covered in teeth. And here's the terrifying part. This is going to burrow holes in living organism to consume its tissue. So our last one, our hagfish, only really ate dead things or invertebrates. This you're going to see biting into living tissue, which again is why we're going to consider it a parasitic marine fish here. So parasitic, it's getting something from the host, but it's also not providing anything from the host. So it's actually hurting the host here as it eats its live tissue. And then just an interesting fact here, it's going to lay its eggs in fresh water. So let's take a look at these ones. So here we can see we have a lamprey actually attached onto a person here. And then if you take a look at an animal that might have not survived this lamprey attack, we can see that it actually has bored holes into the animal itself. We can see that this our lamprey here is the dark black right here. It's actually still attached to this fish as well. And again, we can see that circular disc with all of those teeth surrounding it that allows it to bore into the fish and suction on here. Our next class that we're going to talk about is chondrichthyes. And these are going to be characterized by fish that have jaws and a skeleton made of cartilage. So those are the two defining characteristics here. They have jaws and their skeleton is made of cartilage. And the reason that this skeleton made of cartilage is so important is that it's going to save energy. So these animals are going to be much lighter than they would be if they had bones rather than cartilage for their skeleton. So they don't have to spend as much time floating to the surface either. So great examples of these are sharks, skates, and rays. Skates might be a new term here. That's going to be our center picture right here. This is a skate, but it does look quite similar to our ray here. So some more characteristics of our class here. It's going to possess a movable jaw, usually has teeth, and its mouth is going to be found on its ventral side, which is the underside of the head. And then we're also going to see these very rough sandpaper-like scales on these types of animals. So again, has a jaw. This jaw will usually have teeth on it, found on the underside of the head. We also know that it has a skeleton made of cartilage and very rough sandpaper-like scales. That is where we're going to stop for now. We are going to go into more detail about our sharks and our rays and our skates. So hold on for that. But for now, that's where we're going to end. If we have any questions, please let me know.